I found my father cold and unresponsive at 6:42 a.m. He was lying peacefully in bed, no signs of struggle, no warning. He had gone to sleep and never woke up. The coroner said it was a heart attack in the middle of the night. But what shocked us all was the cause. It wasn't his age, it wasn't a chronic illness. It was the snack he ate just hours before bedtime. He had no idea that one simple food, something millions of seniors eat every night, had triggered a silent storm inside his body while he slept. No pain, no symptoms, just a fatal spike, and then silence. If someone had told us sooner, if we had known what that food could do to a 78-year-old heart after dark, he might still be here. Tonight you may be making the same mistake without even realizing it. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 8 foods that seniors over 65 should never eat before bed. Not because they're bad, but because they become dangerous, deadly, when consumed at the wrong time. Food number 3 caused my father's death. He thought it was harmless. So did we. Please don't wait until someone you love becomes a statistic. These 8 foods are in homes everywhere, maybe even yours. And what you do tonight could be the difference between waking up tomorrow or not. Elizabeth Monroe loved her nightly ritual: 2 whole grain crackers, a slice of creamy processed cheese, and a warm cup of chamomile tea. It helped her wind down after a long day, and at 67, it felt like a harmless indulgence, until the night she woke up gasping for air. "I thought I was dying," she later said. "My chest felt tight and I couldn't catch my breath. It came out of nowhere." After a rushed trip to the ER and several anxious tests, doctors found signs of fluid buildup in her lungs, something usually seen in patients with serious heart conditions. But Elizabeth's heart was otherwise healthy. The cause? Her nighttime snack. That innocent-looking slice of processed cheese was silently sabotaging her health. According to the American Heart Association, processed dairy products, especially cheese slices and cheese spreads, are packed with sodium and saturated fat. These ingredients, when consumed before bedtime, lead to dangerous fluid retention, blood pressure spikes, and overnight strain on the cardiovascular system. Dr. Richard Stein, a leading cardiologist, explains it this way. During sleep, your body naturally lowers its blood pressure and heart rate. But when you introduce sodium-heavy foods before bed, it interrupts that rhythm. It forces your heart to work harder, at the exact time it's supposed to be resting. Elizabeth's doctors traced her overnight blood pressure spikes directly to her evening cheese habit. Within just 2 weeks of removing it from her routine, her symptoms vanished, her blood pressure normalized, and the terrifying night never repeated. Think about this. Processed cheese may not hurt you immediately, but night after night, it builds pressure. It holds onto fluid. It raises your risk, quietly. So, what's the solution? If you truly crave a bedtime bite, swap that processed cheese for a small handful of unsalted almonds or a slice of fresh, low-sodium mozzarella. These options support your heart, not attack it. Ask yourself this: is that slice of convenience worth the risk of never waking up? Because your heart needs rest, not resistance. And tonight, the choice is yours. Raymond Scott always had a sweet tooth. At 71, he wasn't one for cakes or ice cream, but every night before bed, he poured himself a generous bowl of frosted cereal, his little indulgence, as he called it. He figured it was better than cookies or candy. Besides, it helped him sleep. Or so he thought. For months, Raymond had been waking up at strange hours, heart pounding, soaked in sweat, sometimes dizzy and disoriented. He chalked it up to nightmares or aging. But when his cardiologist fitted him with a continuous glucose monitor, the truth hit like a lightning bolt. Every night, his blood sugar would spike to diabetic levels within an hour of his cereal, then crash dangerously low between 2 and 4 a.m. That crash, combined with the metabolic stress of his age, was putting his heart at serious risk, night after night. Dr. Varen Summers, a sleep researcher at the Mayo Clinic, explains that sugar before bed is a silent cardiac saboteur, especially for seniors. The body is most vulnerable to irregular heart rhythms during deep sleep, she says. When you add glucose volatility to that window, the risk for arrhythmia and sudden cardiac events multiplies. Raymond had no idea. "I thought I was helping myself relax," he said, "but I was actually gambling with my life every single night." And he's not alone. Countless seniors reach for a cookie, a slice of pie, or a sugary bowl of cereal to comfort themselves before bed. But the spike crash cycle shocks the heart and triggers adrenaline at the worst possible time, during deep REM sleep. So, what can you do instead? Reach for something that stabilizes blood sugar rather than wrecks it. A small apple with a spoonful of almond butter provides fiber, healthy fats, and slow-release energy, helping you sleep soundly without the metabolic chaos. Raymond made the switch, and within a week, his blood sugar levels stayed stable. His inflammatory molecules that damage blood vessels, stiffen arteries, and increase oxidative stress on the heart. During sleep, when your body should be recovering, these effects compound and can lead to fatal cardiac events. Thomas didn't know, his family didn't know, but the cardiologist was certain. The salami he had eaten hours before bed had created a perfect storm, one his heart couldn't withstand. And Thomas isn't alone. Millions of seniors consume hot dogs, ham, bologna, pepperoni, or bacon late at night, thinking it's just a little protein. But they're feeding their bodies a cocktail of sodium, preservatives, and artery-clogging fat. Just before the body enters its lowest function mode, the heart slows, blood vessels constrict, and in that quiet stillness, the damage explodes. So, what's the safer choice? If you crave protein before bed, choose something clean and gentle on your system. A small piece of plain baked chicken or a hard-boiled egg can provide satiety without the chemical storm. And if you think moderation makes it safe, think again. For vulnerable hearts, a few slices a night add up fast. Thomas's widow now shares his story every chance she gets. If we had known about the danger, she says, we would have cleared the fridge out that same day. So I'll ask you, what's sitting in your fridge right now? A midnight snack? Or a silent killer waiting for the next bedtime? Because food isn't just fuel. Sometimes it's a fatal decision wrapped in plastic and salt. Patricia Vance loved flavor. At 68, she prided herself on still having a bold appetite. Her favorite meal? Spicy tacos loaded with jalapenos, hot sauce, and seasoned meat. I like a little fire before I rest, she used to joke. But one night, the fire nearly consumed her. At exactly 2:17 a.m., Patricia woke up with crushing chest pain. Her breathing was shallow, her arms numb, her mind spiraling into panic. Her husband called 911. Paramedics rushed her to the ER, fearing the worst, a heart attack. But what the doctors found shocked everyone. It wasn't her heart, it was severe acid reflux, triggered by the spicy food she'd eaten just hours earlier. The medical term? Gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD. But what made it especially dangerous was how it mimicked a cardiac event, and how it could still trigger one. Dr. Anil Rusky, chief of gastroenterology at Columbia University, explains that spicy foods activate a strong inflammatory response in the digestive tract. When eaten too close to bedtime, especially in seniors, this inflammation stimulates the vagus nerve, which directly influences heart rhythm and blood pressure. In certain cases, Dr. Rusky says, intense reflux can indirectly cause arrhythmias or even full-blown cardiac events, especially in older adults with pre-existing sensitivities. Patricia was lucky. That night, it wasn't her heart. But her doctor warned, next time, it might be. Here's the truth. Spicy food doesn't just cause discomfort. It sends your internal systems into overdrive. And when your body is lying down, trying to rest, that chaos can backfire in ways you can't see coming. So, what's the solution? If you love flavor, you don't have to sacrifice it. Just change your timing and ingredients. Eat at least 3 hours before bedtime to allow proper digestion. Swap out hot peppers for gentle herbs like basil, thyme, or oregano. Avoid acidic sauces and heavily seasoned meats late in the evening. Patricia made the change, and the night terrors stopped. The ER visits, a thing of the past. She still cooks with passion, but now she saves the spice for lunch. She told me, I didn't realize my favorite food could turn against me. I thought I was being strong, but real strength is knowing when to protect your body, even from your own habits. So before you reach for the hot sauce tonight, ask yourself, is flavor worth the fear? Because that burning sensation might not just be reflux, it could be your heart asking for mercy. Howard Blake had what he called his two-glass rule. Every evening, the 73-year-old retired accountant would pour himself 2 glasses of red wine while watching the nightly news. Good for the heart, he often joked, echoing something he'd once read in a magazine. But what he didn't know was that his nightly ritual was slowly sabotaging his heart's ability to rest. For months, Howard had been waking up more tired than when he went to sleep. His wife noticed loud snoring and strange pauses in his breathing. At first, they thought it was normal aging, until a home sleep test revealed something terrifying: severe oxygen desaturation during deep sleep. The culprit? Alcohol? Dr. Raphael Pilo, clinical professor at Stanford Sleep Medicine, explains that alcohol relaxes the throat muscles, which in seniors can cause partial airway collapse during sleep. This leads to interrupted breathing, drops in oxygen levels, and increased strain on the heart throughout the night. Worse, seniors with undiagnosed sleep apnea who consume alcohol are at significantly higher risk of stroke and nighttime cardiac events. "I thought wine helped me sleep," Howard admitted after his diagnosis. "I had no idea it was suffocating me." He gave up his wine, replaced it with chamomile tea and tart cherry juice, both known to improve sleep quality naturally. Within weeks, his energy returned, his snoring faded, and most importantly, his heart rate stabilized. But Howard wasn't the only one making bedtime mistakes. Meet Meredith Daniels, a 70-year-old widow from Washington. Every night, after dinner, she treated herself to 2 squares of dark chocolate. "It's good for antioxidants," she smiled, "and it helps me unwind." But she began waking up in the middle of the night, heart pounding, anxious, wide awake. Her doctor traced it back to the chocolate. You see, dark chocolate contains caffeine, and for seniors, even small amounts can linger in the bloodstream for up to 7 hours. That means a 7 p.m. treat can still stimulate your body at 2 a.m. Dr. Charles Chisler, chief of sleep medicine at Brigham and Women's Hospital, warns that caffeine consumed after dinner raises nighttime blood pressure, increases heart rate variability, and disrupts the body's natural rhythm. Meredith swapped her chocolate for a banana and a cup of warm herbal tea. The racing heart stopped. The 2 a.m. wake-ups disappeared. "I didn't connect chocolate with panic," she said, "but my heart did, loud and clear." So, what can you do? Skip alcohol after 6 p.m., especially if you snore or feel unrested. Avoid caffeine in all forms: coffee, tea, soda, chocolate, at least 6 hours before bed. Opt for herbal teas like chamomile or peppermint. Try foods like bananas or almonds that promote sleep naturally, because what feels relaxing in the moment might be the very thing that keeps your heart from truly resting. So tonight, ask yourself, is that drink or that treat worth the risk of not waking up tomorrow? Your heart deserves peace, not pressure. Gregory Lane never had a heart condition. At 69, he walked his dog twice a day, maintained a healthy weight, and kept up with his doctor visits. But one night after a dinner of fried chicken and mashed potatoes, Gregory went to bed feeling unusually heavy. At 3:11 a.m., his wife awoke to a sound she'll never forget: Gregory gasping for air. By the time paramedics arrived, it was too late. The cause? A massive heart attack, triggered by an intense inflammatory response his body couldn't handle. Dr. Stephen Nissen, chairman of cardiovascular medicine at Cleveland Clinic, explains that fried foods consumed at night lead to a surge in blood lipids, which trigger inflammation and increase clotting risk. During sleep, when the body's anti-inflammatory defenses are naturally lower, this response can reach its peak and cause catastrophic damage. Gregory's cardiologist said something his wife would never forget. He didn't have heart disease, but his dinner gave him one. Now let's talk about Deborah Wells, 75, from Illinois. Her nightly habit was simple: some crackers or pretzels while watching TV in bed. She thought it was harmless, but her blood pressure monitor told another story. Her doctor noticed consistent spikes in her nighttime blood pressure readings, especially between 2 and 4 a.m. After eliminating those salty snacks, her numbers normalized within a week. Why does this happen? Dr. Wilbert Arono, a geriatric cardiologist, explains that high-sodium snacks before bed overload the kidneys, forcing the body to retain fluid and elevate blood pressure during vulnerable sleep stages. In seniors, that can mean 15-point spikes, more than enough to trigger strokes or heart attacks in their sleep. Think about it. that bag of chips, those cheese-flavored crackers, the just a few bites before sleep. They're not just salty, they're deadly. So, what's the fix? If you want something crunchy, go for unsalted air-popped popcorn or fresh cucumber slices. Avoid processed packaged foods within 3 hours of bedtime. Read labels. If it has more than 140 mg of sodium per serving, it's too much for your heart at night. Deborah said it best. I thought I was being careful, but the danger wasn't just in the flavor, it was in the timing. So, before you reach for that bag in your pantry tonight, ask yourself, is convenience worth the crisis? Is that late-night crunch worth trading in your morning? Because your heart isn't a machine. It remembers what you feed it, especially while you sleep. The night my father died, everything felt normal. He had dinner, watched the news, and had his usual snack. 3 slices of cold salami and a handful of crackers. It was the same routine he'd followed for years. He even smiled at me when I kissed him goodnight. I never imagined it would be the last time. When the paramedics told us he'd passed from a heart attack in his sleep, we were stunned. He was healthy, active, sharp. But then came the toxicology and blood results. The elevated sodium, the nitrates, the signs of inflammation. That harmless snack, it had built up damage over time. And that night was simply the moment his heart couldn't take anymore. Since then, I've made it my mission to tell his story. Because what we eat before bed matters far more than we realize, especially after age 65. These 8 foods, processed cheese, sugary cereals and desserts, processed meats, alcohol, caffeinated treats, fried foods, packaged salty snacks. They're not just comfort foods, they're triggers, each one capable of quietly overloading the heart, the blood vessels, the nervous system during the very hours your body is trying to repair itself. Seniors are more vulnerable at night than any other time of day. Blood pressure dips, breathing slows, heart rhythm becomes more fragile. And if we fuel that moment with inflammation, sugar spikes, or chemical additives, we gamble with the sunrise. But here's the good news. It's preventable. You don't need a prescription. You don't need expensive supplements. You just need awareness and a few better choices. Swap salami for a boiled egg. Replace wine with chamomile tea. Choose a banana over a chocolate bar. These may seem like small decisions, but they could buy you more mornings, more conversations, more holidays with the people you love. If my father had known, he would have changed everything. But he didn't. And now, his story is the warning someone else needs to hear. So please, don't keep this to yourself. Share it with your parents, your grandparents, your neighbors. Clean out your kitchen tonight. Start fresh tomorrow. Because what you eat before bed doesn't just impact your sleep. It may decide whether you wake up at all. Your heart works hard for you. Tonight, work for it. One choice, one change, one more day.